Welcome back to the deep dive. You ready to go deep? Today we're taking on John D. Rockefeller.
Oh, buckle up.
Yeah, this is going to be a wild ride.
Absolutely.
So you think oil tycoon, massive fortune,
Right.
but there's so much more to this guy's story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his early life,
Hmm.
it wasn't exactly a silver spoon situation.
Far from it.
Yeah, we're talking rags to riches like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
And the path he took to get there, full of twists and turns.
Oh, absolutely.
So what makes Rockefeller's story still relevant today? I mean, we're talking about a guy who built his empire over 100 years ago.
Well, think about the time period he was operating in the mid-1800s.
Yeah.
America was transforming. The discovery of oil, the Civil War,
Right.
the rise of industry, it was a whirlwind.
Chaotic.
Yet to thrive in that environment took a certain kind of person.
Someone who could not only survive, but actually conquer.
Exactly. And Rockefeller was that person.
So let's rewind back to the beginning. What was his childhood like?
Turbulent's a good word for it.
Turbulent.
Yeah. His father, William Rockefeller.
Okay.
Well, let's just say he wasn't exactly a model citizen.
Obimir.
Think fake cures, high-interest loans, preying on people. Now imagine growing up with that kind of instability.
I bet that had a huge impact on him.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
You can see how it shaped his drive for control, order in his business dealings.
Like he was trying to overcompensate for that chaos he grew up in.
Right, wanted to create a world where nothing was left to chance.
But even with all that family drama,
Hmm.
he was incredibly disciplined.
Oh, yeah. Meticulous saving habits, learning accounting as a teenager.
Wow.
It's like he was preparing for something.
And then, boom, oil is discovered in Pennsylvania just as he's entering the workforce.
Talk about perfect timing, right?
Destiny.
But here's the thing. He didn't jump straight into oil.
Really?
Nope. He started a produce business.
Produce. What, like fruits and vegetables?
Exactly. And he was successful.
So he was a natural businessman, even before oil.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when he saw the potential of this new industry, especially with the Civil War driving up demand.
He knew he had to get in on the action.
Exactly.
So now he's in this booming oil industry.
Yeah.
I bet you think he's out there drilling for black gold.
Nope. What?
He focused on refining.
Refining. But did he even know anything about that?
That's the interesting part. He had zero technical expertise.
So how did he pull it off?
Partnerships.
Partnership.
He was a master at bringing the right people together.
Like who?
Well, there was Samuel Andrews, a brilliant chemist.
Okay.
He figured out how to optimize the refining process. And then there was Henry Flagler, a master at producing oil barrels.
Which were essential back then.
Oh, absolutely. This strategic collaboration allowed them to refine oil more efficiently and at a lower cost than their competitors.
So he was a strategist from the very beginning.
Oh, always thinking ahead.
But the early oil industry was a brutal world, right?
Cutthroat.
Cutthroat. So how did Rockefeller rise to the top? Well, let's just say he wasn't afraid to play hardball.
What do you mean?
Think the Cleveland Massacre.
The Cleveland Massacre.
In just 6 weeks,
Sweet.
Standard Oil acquired 22 of its 26 competitors.
That's insane. How did he do that?
Price wars, favorable deals with railroads. They could transport oil much cheaper.
That's smart.
It cemented his reputation as a force to be reckoned with.
Ruthless, but brilliant.
Exactly. He understood that controlling the entire process
From barrels to transportation to the refining itself,
gave him the ultimate
he
power,
was building an empire.
piece by piece.
And he was buying out these smaller companies, framing it as helping them.
Right, offering them a way out of bankruptcy, sometimes even jobs within Standard Oil.
It's almost like he believed he was doing them a favor.
A classic example of framing, isn't it?
Totally. And when the railroads tried to raise prices on him,
Uh-oh.
he didn't just sit back and take it.
What did he do?
He invested heavily in building pipelines. Pipelines.
Yep, cutting the railroads out entirely.
Bold.
It gave him even more control and showed his willingness to innovate.
He was always one step ahead.
And by 1890, Standard Oil controlled a staggering 85% of the U.S. oil market.
85%. That's insane.
Almost unheard of, even to...
No wonder people started to worry about a monopoly.
Well, yeah, even though antitrust laws were still in their infancy.
They were coming.
But Rockefeller had another trick up his sleeve.
Oh, what's that?
Trusts.
Trusts.
Legal loopholes that allowed him to divide Standard Oil into seemingly separate companies.
While still maintaining control.
Exactly, a brilliant move.
So by the late 1890s, he is at the peak of his power.
On top of the world.
But the world is changing. Electricity is emerging. The demand for kerosene is dwindling.
You'd think that would be the end for him, right?
Yeah, what happened?
This is where his foresight comes in. He saw the potential of a new invention,
What was it?
the automobile.
The automobile.
And what does the automobile need?
Oil.
Exactly. He was perfectly positioned to profit from this new industry.
So he went from kerosene to gasoline.
He was always adapting, evolving.
It like everything he touched turned to gold.
But then something interesting happens.
What's that?
He starts to shift his focus
From building an empire.
to something completely different.
What was it?
Philanthropy.
Philanthropy.
In 1897, at the age of 58, Rockefeller retired from running Standard Oil
He walked away from it all.
and dedicated himself to giving back.
Interesting. So what did this giving back actually look like?
Well, he had this thing called the give one-third principle,
Give 1/3.
meaning he donated a significant portion of his wealth.
Wow. So he wasn't just writing checks.
No, he was strategic about it.
Like how?
He poured resources into education, founded the University of Chicago,
The University of Chicago.
the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research.
Wow.
His donations to medical research helped fight diseases like yellow fever and hookworm,
He was trying to solve some of the world's biggest problems.
and his influence extended far beyond the U.S.
Yeah.
He helped establish Peking Union Medical College in China.
So this supposed ruthless monopolist also helped advance healthcare and education.
It's a complex legacy.
That's for sure. And it gets even more complex when you consider the role of another powerful family,
Oh, where we go.
the Rothschilds.
Now we're talking.
I've heard whispers about this connection.
It's a doozy.
So tell me, what's the real story here?
Well, let's just say things are about to get very interesting.
Okay, so we left off with this whole Rothschild thing.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Lay it on me. What's the connection between this powerful banking family and John D. Rockefeller?
Okay, so picture the late 19th century, the Rothschild family. They were a financial powerhouse.
Global.
Oh, yeah, global reach, influencing governments, shaping economies.
Not just bankers, but like kingmakers.
Exactly. And then you have Kuhn Loeb & Co., one of the leading investment banks of the time.
Okay.
Deep ties to the Rothschilds.
Deep ties.
And guess who was running the show? Jacob Schiff, a relative of the Rothschilds.
Hold on. So the guy who built this massive oil empire,
Might have had the Rothschilds bankrolling him.
it adds a whole new dimension to the story, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Kuhn, Loeb & Co. They played a key role in financing Rockefeller's expansion.
So they were essentially fueling his rise to power.
You could say that.
Wow. So was Rockefeller a puppet master? Or was he playing a much bigger game with the Rothschilds?
Now that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, it's something historians still debate today.
I bet.
Did Rockefeller use their resources to his advantage?
Or was there something more, like a deeper level of influence?
It's hard to say for sure, but here's something to consider. The Rothschilds,
Yeah.
their involvement wasn't limited to just oil.
Really?
They were backing other major industries
Right.
too. Steel, railroads, you name it.
So it wasn't just about oil. It was about controlling the entire American economy.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It's kind of unsettling to think that these massive industries might have been influenced by this network of powerful families.
Operating behind the scenes? Yeah, it challenges the whole idea of the self-made man.
It does. How much of Rockefeller's success was his own doing?
And how much was due to the backing of a financial dynasty?
We may never know the full story.
But the possibility is definitely there. But you know what's even more fascinating?
What's that?
The Rockefeller influence didn't stop there. It continued, particularly in the world of finance.
Oh, you're talking about the Federal Reserve?
Wait, the Fed? The Central Bank of the United States.
The one and only.
Are you telling me they had a hand in shaping that?
Our sources suggest they did,
Yeah.
along with other powerful families like the Morgans.
So they went from controlling oil to controlling money itself?
They understood the power of the financial system.
And it wasn't just the Fed, right?
Nope. They were also instrumental in establishing the Council on Foreign Relations,
The Council on Foreign Relations.
a think tank that still holds a lot of sway over American foreign policy.
So they had their fingers in a lot of pies.
You could say that.
It's less like a business empire and more like a dynasty.
A dynasty built on wealth, power, and influence.
And then you have John D. Rockefeller Jr. He took a different path than his father,
Oh, yeah. He was involved in the family business for a bit.
but ultimately decided to make his mark in a different way.
Philanthropy.
Philanthropy.
He was a driving force behind the creation of the Rockefeller Foundation,
The Rockefeller Foundation.
which has funded groundbreaking work in public health, medical research, education, the arts.
For over a century?
They went from revolutionizing the oil industry to revolutionizing philanthropy.
Quite a legacy.
And it doesn't stop there. John D. Rockefeller Jr., he was also a visionary urban planner.
Urban planner.
He spearheaded the construction of Rockefeller Center.
Wait a minute, are we talking about the Rockefeller Center?
The one with the iconic ice rink, the Christmas tree.
That's incredible. It's a symbol of American resilience.
Built during the Great Depression.
Providing jobs, hope.
A true legacy.
And their dedication to philanthropy continued through the generations.
It became a family tradition. Each of his 5 sons, they all contributed in their own way.
It's amazing how the Rockefeller name became associated with these grand gestures.
Symbols of American ingenuity and ambition.
But they've also managed to stay relatively private.
Which is interesting considering their wealth and influence.
It's like they've cultivated this image.
Letting their actions speak louder than words.
Makes you wonder if their philanthropy is a way to address the controversies surrounding their fortune.
Maybe a way to acknowledge that their success came at a cost.
It raises some tough questions about wealth, power, and the responsibility to give back.
It does.
Okay, so we've covered Rockefeller's rise to power, the family's philanthropy, their connection to the Federal Reserve.
It's a lot to take in.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to talk about.
You're talking about the Rothschilds again?
Those whispers about their influence going beyond just financial backing.
Some pretty compelling evidence has surfaced.
Really? So we're not just talking about money here.
It's possible they had a more direct hand in shaping Rockefeller's decisions.
Like influencing his strategy.
Potentially even manipulating him.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
It's difficult to prove definitively, but the evidence is intriguing.
What kind of evidence?
Well, remember, the Rothschilds had a global network of banks and financial institutions.
Right.
They weren't just investing, they were shaping entire industries.
So is Rockefeller just a pawn in their game?
It's a question that keeps historians up at night.
Was he a brilliant strategist who used them?
Or was he a tool used by a much larger force?
It's like a historical mystery.
With missing pieces.
We may never know the full extent of their involvement.
But the possibility raises some serious questions about power.
And the forces that shape our world.
It challenges us to look beyond the surface, to consider the unseen forces at play.
So, as we wrap up our exploration of John D. Rockefeller,
A complex and enigmatic figure.
what's the key takeaway? What should our listeners remember about him?
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Absolutely. We should be clear, not everyone agrees about how much influence the Rothschilds really had.
Yeah, I mean, some historians say it's blown out of proportion.
Right. They argue that Rockefeller succeeded mainly because of his own talent and the circumstances of the time.
So no smoking gun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a historical debate that may never be fully settled.
But just the possibility of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it adds another layer to the whole story, for sure.
Definitely makes it more interesting.
It really forces us to think critically about the stories we tell about history.
Yeah, like the classic self-made man narrative.
Right. What if there were powerful forces pulling the strings behind the scenes?
Shaping events, influencing outcomes.
Makes you wonder.
It does. But let's not forget, even if the Rothschilds played a role, Rockefeller was still an incredibly talented businessman.
Oh, absolutely.
He didn't just get lucky, he built a real empire.
He had a vision, drive, ambition like you wouldn't believe.
Ruthlessness.
Well, yeah, he was a complex figure, a man of contradictions.
Ruthless in his pursuit of wealth and power.
But then using that wealth to make a positive impact on the world.
It's almost like a Shakespearean tragedy.
A tragic hero driven by ambition, achieving greatness, but at a cost.
And then trying to find redemption through philanthropy.
A classic tale of ambition, power, and the search for meaning.
And it shows us that history is rarely simple.
Full of nuance, ambiguity.
Individuals who defy categorization. This deep dive has been a whirlwind.
We've covered a lot of grounds.
From Rockefeller's humble beginnings to oil tycoon, his family's philanthropy, and those shadowy connections with the Rothschilds.
It's been quite a journey.
So what's the key takeaway for our listener? What's the one thing you want them to remember about John D. Rockefeller?
I think the most important lesson is that history isn't static. It's constantly evolving, you know?
Always being reinterpreted.
Exactly. Rockefeller's story encourages us to question our assumptions.
To dig deeper, look at things from multiple perspectives. We've been given this glimpse behind the curtain.
Yeah.
A peek into the workings of power, ambition.
And the forces that shape our world.
It's empowering to know that we can question these narratives.
It is. It reminds us that history isn't just something that happened in the past.
It's still shaping our present and our future. So here's a thought-provoking question for our listeners. If John D. Rockefeller were alive today, what industry do you think he'd be trying to conquer?
Oh, that's a good one.
Would it be tech, biotech, renewable energy?
I mean, given his knack for spotting trends and his relentless ambition,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he went for something cutting edge,
something with the potential to change the world.
like he did with oil.
It's kind of scary to think about.
It's a bit daunting.
To imagine this titan of industry from the past still relevant today.
But it shows that the patterns of ambition, innovation, the struggle for power,
Those things are timeless.
they transcend any specific era.
So we've explored the life and legacy of John D. Rockefeller.
A man who embodied both the potential and the dangers of ambition.
We've talked about his controversial business practices, his family's philanthropy.
And those intriguing connections that suggest a much wider web of influence.
It's a story that makes us question our understanding of success, ambition, and responsibility.
Leaving us with more questions than answers.
As we wrap up this deep dive into John D. Rockefeller,
We encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning.
the journey of discovery is never truly over.
Until next time, keep diving deep.